Do a simple test right now. Sit comfortably. Press firmly on the front of your shin, the bone below the knee, with your thumb. Hold for 5 seconds. Remove your finger. If the dent doesn't disappear instantly but lingers for a couple of seconds, I've got bad news for you. Your lymph is stagnant. You're carrying a swamp inside you, even if the scales show normal weight. The skin on your abdomen feels smooth and firm. The scales show normal. But inside, beneath this deceptive surface, a silent enemy may be hiding. About 90% of people with normal weight have visceral fat. It envelops your internal organs in a dense, inflammatory cocoon. This fat is 3 times more dangerous to the heart and blood vessels than subcutaneous fat. How to detect it, and most importantly, how to get rid of it without grueling diets. The answer wasn't found in a medical textbook, but in the blueprints of an aircraft designer who survived 2 heart attacks. With you is me, Dr. Maria Nikolskaya, a therapist with 10 years of experience, consultant on healthy aging. We're used to approaching health as a moral duty or magic. We blame ourselves for that extra bite, buy gym memberships like indulgences, and wait for a miracle pill. But what if all this is a mistake of perception? Alexander Mikulin, a genius who created engines for our airplanes, looked at his body after 2 heart attacks differently. He saw not a temple of the soul, but a complex biomechanical system, and he began repairing it according to the laws of physics, not guilt. This is not just a story of recovery. This is an engineering protocol proven by 90 years of active life of its creator. This system is used today by professional athletes for quick recovery after injuries, calling it vibration therapy. But you don't need expensive equipment for this. Health returns not through expensive medications or grueling exercise. It comes through understanding the simplest laws: gravity, vibration, hydraulics. Morning facial swelling, the feeling that you didn't get enough sleep even after 8 hours in bed, bags under the eyes that no cream can hide, cold hands and feet even when the room is warm. Blood circulates, but lymph doesn't. It doesn't bring warmth to the periphery. Constant heaviness in the legs by evening, as if weights were tied to the ankles. And the most insidious thing is the general state of congestion, fog in the head, difficulty concentrating. The body feels filled with wet sand. This is not just discomfort. This is a direct path to consequences. Lymph stagnation is the accumulation of toxins right in the tissues. It's chronic, low-grade inflammation that eats away at the body from the inside. It's the perfect breeding ground for varicose veins because the venous system suffers too. For cellulite, it's not a cosmetic defect, it's a structural change in the tissue due to poor drainage. And in the long term, such stagnation creates an environment where serious diseases, including cardiovascular ones, can develop more easily. Sergey was looking for an answer in blood pressure pills and calorie counting, but the answer lay in the realm of simple mechanics. He lacked movement, but not the sports kind, the kind that drains, shakes up, and clears these internal channels. When we shifted the focus from food to fluid movement, everything changed. He didn't start running marathons. He started small, with work on the lymph. And in 4 months, he lost 8 kilograms that hadn't budged for years. His blood pressure normalized on its own. The heaviness went away. Lightness returned. Why did this happen? Because we unblocked his internal drainage system. We cleansed the environment. And the body, finally, was able to work as it was designed to. Let's take the sewer system in a big city. Pipes run under every house, meant to carry away waste. But what happens if the pumps suddenly stop? If residents keep flushing water, but the sewer collectors have nowhere to put this filth, the system will clog. Basements will start flooding. Foul-smelling puddles will appear. Tap water will become cloudy. The city will slowly poison itself with its own sewage. Our body is such a city. Cells are its residents. They constantly work, feed, produce energy, and, as a result, waste. Dead protein structures, membrane fragments, decay products, toxins from the external environment. All of this needs to be removed. And the disposal is not handled by the liver and kidneys, as many think. They are just the final filters. The main transport artery for garbage is the lymphatic system, a network of the finest vessels that permeates literally everything except the brain and the lens of the eye. But this network has no heart of its own, no central pump. Its movement depends on external pressure. Take a hose filled with thick syrup lying on the ground. To make the syrup flow, you need to either press on it in one place, creating a wave, or shake the whole structure. It's the same here. The role of pumps is played by the skeletal muscles. Every contraction squeezes the lymphatic vessels, pushing the fluid forward to the valves that prevent it from flowing back. The second engine is the diaphragm. With deep inhalation and exhalation, it creates a pressure difference in the thoracic cavity, literally sucking lymph upward from below. And the third, often forgotten factor, is the pulsation of the arteries that run alongside the lymph vessels. Their rhythmic vibration also helps push the lymph along. And now look at our typical day. We sit for hours. The muscles of the legs, thighs, back immobile. The pumps are off. Breathing is shallow. The diaphragm barely moves. And we wonder where the swelling, heaviness, that very clogged feeling Sergey talked about come from. The lymph stagnates. It turns into a stagnant swamp where toxins don't leave but accumulate right in the intercellular space. This is no metaphor. This is biochemical reality. This is where the engineering genius of Mikulin comes on stage. He understood, if the standard pumps, the muscles, are inactive, we need to create an external vibrational impulse. Activate the emergency vibropump. His famous exercise, rising onto the toes and sharply dropping onto the heels, shaking the whole body, is not just physical exercise, it's hydraulics. The shock wave from the fall passes through the skeleton, jostling every cell, every stagnant drop of lymph in the remotest capillaries. It's like banging on a bottle of thick jelly. The contents will start to move. You've probably seen the trend on TikTok or Instagram for lymph drainage jumps. Bloggers sell it as a novelty, but in reality, it's a simplified and often distorted version of Mikulin's method, which Soviet engineers used half a century ago. The difference is that Mikulin knew it's not the jump that's important, but the hydraulic shock. Science confirms this simple mechanism. A 2018 study from the University of California showed that in sedentary patients, rhythmic whole-body vibration over just a few weeks improved lymph flow speed by nearly a third, 30%. That's a significant increase in drainage without exhausting workouts. Another review, published in the journal Lymphatic Research and Biology in 2020, directly linked insufficient muscle activity to lymphostasis, stagnation that leads not only to swelling but also to disruptions in the immune response. After all, lymph nodes aren't just filters, they're command centers for our defense. Now, let's debunk two popular myths that prevent us from seeing the full picture. The first myth states, to cleanse the body, you need to drink detox smoothies or special teas. This is fundamentally wrong. Detox drinks are an additional burden on the gastrointestinal tract and liver. They force these organs to work harder to digest and neutralize the incoming substances. But they don't stimulate the lymphatic system to move at all. It's like trying to unclog a clogged city sewer by pouring flavored water into it. The blockage will remain in place. True cleansing starts with mechanical drainage, with turning on the pumps. The second myth, deeply rooted in dietetics, the more often and more you eat, the faster your metabolism. For many, this is an axiom, but it doesn't work for everyone and, most importantly, doesn't take into account key biological processes. A constant influx of food, even healthy food, doesn't give the body technological windows, pauses necessary to trigger autophagy. This is the process of cellular self-cleansing, for the discovery of which Japanese scientist Yoshinori Ohsumi received the Nobel Prize. During periods of rest, when no nutrients are incoming, the cell begins to recycle its own waste, damaged proteins, old mitochondria. It cleans itself from the inside. If we eat every 3 hours, we constantly send the signal, work, there are resources. The signal for cleanup simply doesn't arrive. Waste accumulates. And here again, the lymph suffers, which is supposed to remove this waste but can't handle the volume. That's why Mikulin's approach was so holistic. He didn't just add vibration, he created conditions for total cleansing. Refraining from eating on a schedule gave the body time for autophagy, cleanup inside the apartment cells. And vibratory gymnastics launched the lymphatic sewerage, which carried this collected waste to the general dump, into the lymph nodes and further to the excretory organs. This isn't just theory, this is practical mechanics. You can feel how it works right now. Sit up straight. Take a deep belly breath. Feel the diaphragm descend downward. On the exhale, slightly draw in your abdomen. This simple movement creates that very pressure differential in the thoracic cavity that draws lymph upward from below. You've just manually activated one of the pumps. Now, imagine what happens if you do this consciously at least a few times a day, combining it with the light vibration from tapping your heels. You're not exercising, you're maintaining vital infrastructure, you're clearing the pipes. So, we've come to the most important part, to what to do, not in theory, but in practice, tomorrow morning. I'll break it all down into steps, like a recipe, simple and straightforward. The first thing to consider is supplements. I know, we've already discussed that there's no magic pill, but there are helper substances that facilitate the basic mechanics, like lubricant for the pumps. Take magnesium, citrate or malate, 200 to 400 milligrams a day. Why specifically it? Your muscles are those very pumps for lymph. For them to contract clearly and effectively, they need magnesium. With its deficiency, muscles become stiff, prone to spasms. They perform their drainage work worse. It's like trying to pump water with a rusty pump. It squeaks, strains, wastes a lot of energy. Magnesium lubricates this mechanism from the inside. You can feel the difference in just a week. Morning stiffness will go away. Your legs will stop buzzing by evening. Now, changes in routine. There are two, and they are fundamental. Stop eating by the clock. Start listening to true hunger, not the hands of the clock. This isn't fasting in the classical sense. This is reclaiming control. Try creating a window of 14 to 16 hours without food. For example, finish dinner at 7 in the evening and make your first meal intake at 11 in the morning the next day. Your body will get precious time. Time not for rest, but for active internal cleaning. The tone is empathetic, warm, and trustworthy, like a private consultation. She speaks clearly but naturally, not like a robot. She uses significant pauses before important medical terms and drops her pitch slightly when discussing serious symptoms like melanoma or heart failure to emphasize importance. She takes audible, soft breaths between long thoughts to sound human and alive. The pacing is moderate, slow enough to teach, but dynamic enough to keep attention. Speed x 1.1. Time not for rest, but for active internal cleaning. Cells will turn on their vacuums. The very process of self-cleansing will launch. The digestive tract will finally take a pause. Its resources will be directed to other tasks, to repair, to renewal. The second change is vibration gymnastics. Every day, 5 minutes. Stand straight. Rise onto your toes, lifting your heels off the floor by 3 to 5 centimeters, and gently but clearly lower onto the full foot. You should feel a light impact, a vibration that passes through the entire body, up to the crown of the head. Do this 30 to 50 times. This isn't an exercise for the calves. This is a signal that you send to every stagnant drop of fluid in the most remote corners of the body. Time to move. What will you get quickly? Already after 1 to 3 days, you'll notice the first changes. Morning swelling on the face will become less. The skin around the eyes will look fresher, tighter. Your head will clear. This usual fog, the desire for another cup of coffee to wake up, it will start to dissipate. Why? Because the vibration and the pause in eating instantly enhance the flow of fresh, oxygen-rich blood to the brain, and at the same time, they activate lymphatic drainage, removing swelling and decay products from the nervous tissue. You simply sleep better and think more effectively. And what to do for a lasting, permanent effect? Turn these two actions into daily hygiene, just as mandatory as brushing your teeth. Vibration gymnastics, in the morning, after a glass of water. Eating according to hunger, your new routine. Add a third element here, voluntary muscle tension. Sitting at the table, tense all your body muscles strongly, legs, abdomen, back, arms. Clench your fists. Then completely relax. Repeat 10 times. This is a micro-workout for capillaries and lymphatic vessels, without movement, only by effort of will. You are training your pumps to work on command. Now let's break down the common questions that arise. What if I have gastritis? Can I skip breakfast? Yes, you can and should, but wisely. Mikulin's principle is not about fasting, but about eating according to true hunger. With gastritis, your first morning intake can be just a warm drink. Half an hour to an hour later, when the body wakes up and gives a signal, eat something light and enveloping. Your goal is not to endure pain, but to give the system a pause. Are vibration exercises harmful to the spine? No, if done correctly. This is not jumping. You do not lift the entire foot off the floor. You only rise onto your toes and lower, allowing your heels to softly hit the surface. The amplitude is only 3 to 5 centimeters. This is a safe, controlled vibration. It does not injure, but on the contrary, can improve the nutrition of intervertebral discs by enhancing microcirculation around them. What if classic vibration gymnastics is not suitable? There are alternatives. An excellent option is a mini trampoline, a rebounder. Soft, springy bounces on it create the same rhythmic vibration for the whole body, but even more gently for the joints. 5 minutes of such swaying, a powerful session of lymph drainage. The second alternative is breathing, diaphragmatic breathing with the belly. On inhalation, the belly inflates, the diaphragm descends, creating a vacuum in the chest. On exhalation, the belly pulls in, the diaphragm rises. This acts as a second heart for the lymph, pumping it from bottom to top. 10 deep cycles of such breathing several times a day is already a huge help to the system. But it's important to understand what doesn't work, what only creates the illusion of care. The idea of boosting metabolism with frequent snacking doesn't work. This is constant stress on the digestive conveyor belt. It doesn't have time to process one thing before the next arrives. The gastrointestinal tract works without a break. The body's resources go to this, and there's no strength left for internal cleaning. You're feeding the system, but not cleaning it. Passive massage with rollers without muscle activity doesn't work. Rolling a massage roller over the body, you mechanically crush the soft tissues. This may give a temporary sensation of relief, but for deep lymph flow, this isn't enough, because you don't engage the main pumps, the muscles. They remain passive. It's like trying to clear a hose by just pressing on it from the outside, but not opening the tap to let the water through. And finally, the most important thing, be attentive to alarm signals. If you notice strong asymmetrical swelling, for example, one leg or one arm is noticeably larger than the other, hot to the touch, the skin is red, this is a red flag. Urgently to the doctor. This could be a sign of thrombosis, a life-threatening condition. If, when skipping scheduled meals, you experience not just hunger, but severe weakness, dizziness, trembling, cold sweat, don't ignore it. An endocrinologist consultation is necessary. You need to check blood sugar levels, the pancreas function. A healthy body handles pauses in eating calmly. Sharp deteriorations in condition are an indication of a hidden problem. That's the whole scheme. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive. Just understanding and consistent actions. You start not with fighting the disease, but with fixing the basic processes, with clearing the pipes, with turning on the pumps. And the body responds to this care with amazing ease. Okay, theory is behind us. Now the action plan. Not general words, but specific steps for tomorrow morning and the entire next week. I'll break it all down by the hour, like instructions for a device. Let's start with the morning. You wake up. Don't grab a cup of coffee right away. Drink a glass of warm, almost hot water. Slowly, in small sips. This isn't for kick-starting metabolism. This is a signal to the digestive tract. Wake up, but don't prepare for work. We're resting for now. In 5 minutes, your first vibrogymnastics. Stand barefoot on a hard floor. Let your arms hang along your body. Rise onto your toes. Lift your heels 3 to 5 centimeters. And sharply, but without cruelty, drop down onto your full foot. You should hear a dull thud and feel a light vibration that travels up the spine to the back of the head. Do not 30, but 50 such movements. This is your morning awakening ritual, not for the brain, but for the entire hydraulic system. Now, breakfast. Approach the window. Look out at the street. Ask yourself, am I really hungry? Don't think about a sausage sandwich, but about simple boiled buckwheat in water. If the thought of it doesn't spark desire, postpone the meal. Your first signal isn't the time on the clock, but a light rumbling in the stomach, clarity in the head, a sensation of emptiness that you want to fill. Not the fear of missing breakfast, but a physical feeling. Day. You're at work, at the computer. Every hour, set a timer for 1 minute. This is your minute of volitional gymnastics. Sit straight. For 10 seconds, tense your glute muscles as hard as you can, as if trying to squeeze a coin. At the same time, draw in your stomach. Pull your navel toward your spine. Clench your fists. Tense your thighs and back. Freeze. Then, complete deep relaxation. Repeat 5 to 7 times during this minute. You don't move, but inside, powerful work is happening. Capillaries contract and expand. Lymphatic valves open and close. This is micro-training for the micropumps. Lunch. Again, only when hungry. In the evening, a light dinner. 2 to 3 hours before bed, make your meal light. And the final ritual, foot self-massage. Sit comfortably, bend one leg. With your thumbs, press along the entire sole, from heel to toes. Or simply stand under a warm shower, directing the stream to your calves and feet. Warmth will dilate the vessels. Water will create a light massaging effect. Now, the weekly plan. It's cyclic, so the body doesn't get used to it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, vibration days. Do 2 sets of vibration gymnastics 50 times each, in the morning and, for example, at 6 in the evening. Emphasis on rhythm. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, volitional control days. Increase the number of minute series of volitional gymnastics to 7 to 8 per day. Tense different muscle groups: glutes, abs, back, chest. Sunday, active rest day, but without stress. A long walk in the park, swimming or yoga, no records. The goal is movement with pleasure, not through force. How to check if you're on the right path? There are 2 simple tests. The first, one for lymphostasis. Sit down, extend your leg. With your thumb, press hard on the front of your shin, just below the knee. Hold the pressure for 5 seconds. Remove your finger. If the resulting dimple disappears in more than 2 seconds, it's a sign of fluid stagnation, swelling. That means your pumps aren't working enough. The second test is for true hunger. At the moment when your hand reaches for food, stop. Close your eyes. Don't think about the pastry, but about a piece of boiled chicken breast without salt. If the thought of it doesn't spark enthusiasm and even causes repulsion, you're not hungry. What you're experiencing is thirst, boredom, or emotional discomfort. Drink a glass of water and wait 10 minutes. Now about the mistakes that will nullify all efforts. The most common one is incorrect vibration gymnastics. People start jumping, lifting the entire foot off the floor. This creates impact loading on the spine and joints. You don't need to jump. The correct movement is rising onto the toes and a clear, controlled lowering onto the heels. The heel hits the floor, cushioning the impact, not the other way around. The second mistake is turning the principle of not eating 3 times into chaos. This doesn't mean that today you have breakfast at 7 and tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. And it doesn't mean you can overeat at night. The goal is to synchronize with the body's signals, not ignore them. If hunger comes at 11 in the morning, eat. If it doesn't come until 2, wait. But dinner should always be light and early. To remember everything, hang 2 checklists on the fridge. The first is morning without swelling, 3 points. 1 glass of warm water, 5 minutes of vibration gymnastics, breakfast only when true hunger appears. The second is day in tone, also 3 points. Every hour, 1 minute of volitional muscle tension, lunch according to the body's signal, 10 minutes of calm walking after any meal. This walk is not for burning calories. It's needed so that the leg muscles gently compress the veins and lymphatic vessels, helping with drainage. Think of it as squeezing a sponge in your thighs and calves with every step. This is the entire mechanics, no magic, just sequence. You start not with fighting symptoms, but with tuning basic processes, with clearing pipes and starting pumps. Tomorrow morning, the first step. So, here are the 3 pillars on which this system stands. Remember them. Health is not a diet or a punishment, it's physics. Gravity and muscle contractions, these are the main drivers that flush toxins out of your tissues every day. This isn't a metaphor, it's the work of hydraulics. Eat only when your body asks for it, not on the alarm clock schedule. Give it those quiet, technical windows, times when digestion is silent and active repair is happening inside. This is an honest dialogue with yourself, not with a timetable. 5 minutes of vibrating your heels on the floor will do more for your lymph than an hour of passive massage. Because you're not kneading the muscles, you're starting the pumps. You're creating a shock wave that reaches every cell. Your body is the most perfect mechanism you've been given on lease for life. We often treat it like an enemy or a temple, forgetting that it's primarily a machine. Alexander Mikulin, an engineer, left us a clear instruction manual for operation. Not a collection of tips, but a working protocol. It's time